Welcome to another video lesson. Today's lesson is 11.1. It's the start of chapter 11 and a brand new topic of statistics. So I'm going to talk a little bit in this video about what is statistics and then deal with the idea of mean and what is that. So first, let's talk about the idea of statistics. It does involve collection and organization and interpretation. So those are some words that are associated with this idea of statistics. But basically, and you're going to start filling this out on your white note sheet. So statistics deals with collecting, organizing, and interpreting. So let's fill that out. And what are we collecting? What are we interpreting? And what are we organizing? Pieces of information. So that's the basic foundation and concept of what we're going to be talking about over the next two chapters. It all begins with a question. So fill that in as well. We're going to talk about what are good statistical questions and what are not so good statistical questions next. And this is where it all starts. So a statistical question, you can ask lots of different questions to people and get responses. A statistical question, though, is special because it's where we anticipate that there's going to be many different answers. Go ahead and fill in different. So let me show you what I'm talking about. One question that we could ask is, what is your favorite hobby? Now that's a good statistical question because you can have a variety of different answers. Some people might like collecting baseball cards, some people might like making a scrapbook, some people might like running. So there's lots of different answers. Whereas, do you own a pair of shoes? It's not a statistical question because you can either answer yes or no to that question. So do you have a driver's license? Again, just a yeah I do or no I don't kind of answer. So this one, what is your favorite color? You can have a lot of different answers. So I want you to pick your own statistical question. Make sure it will involve many different answers and write that right below where we filled in our statistical question definition. What do we call the information we get from asking the question? It's like filling out a survey. So you go around and you ask your classmates, what's your favorite color? What's your favorite color? What are you going to eat for lunch today? That kind of thing. You're gathering that information. And what do we call that information? Data. Not data as in my papa, but the data as in the results of the numbers from the survey that you took. Now in chapter 12, we're going to get into this a little bit more in detail, but there are different ways to organize data. The first one that is already filled in on your notes is a dot plot. This is an example of a dot plot. Really quick, the numbers are like a number line below, and then the data exists on top of the line in the form of dots. Sometimes you'll see X's as well. The next one on your list is a bar graph. Here are two examples of two different types of bar graphs. Again, we're going to get into this more in chapter 12, but that is one way to display or organize the data once you get it. Moving down, we have line graphs next. Fill that in. This is just one tip example of a line graph where it's talking about math scores, and we can see through the grade levels what this person's math scores were. And then the last one that's on this list is a pictograph. These are always fun because the data is represented by a picture. So how many people liked cheese on their pizza as their favorite topping, and then you count the pizzas, and then oftentimes there's a key so that one of the pizzas equals 5, so that's important to note. And when you read a graph, you're going to want to pay attention to the title and the options and all of that stuff, which we'll get into more later. Now I'm going to transition into something that's called landmarks. Now I have some common landmarks to just get you associated with that word. You might have heard landmarks like the Statue of Liberty, Mount Rushmore, the Eiffel Tower, and the pyramids. Those are common things that, oh, I know, the pyramids are in Egypt. They refer you somewhere and they help you navigate a lot of information. So landmarks in statistics kind of act the same way. We're going to pick certain important aspects of the information that we have, like the Statue of Liberty is really important, so we're going to highlight that. But in numbers, if you have a bunch of numbers, it can be overwhelming. So a good way to talk about all of the numbers is to pick out certain characteristics of the numbers that can describe everything. So we're not going to refer to them as landmarks. We're going to be referring to them as different kinds of titles. And specifically, over the next couple days, we're going to be dealing with measures of central tendency, which is also called measures of center, which basically means we're going to be talking about the numbers that exist in the center of all of the data when we organize it. So we usually organize things from least to greatest, greatest to least, putting them in order, bringing some structure to our chaos of information. In order to talk about it, we like to have the numbers that are around the center. And we're going to deal with those 3 measures of center over the next 2 days, which is why you have another note sheet. And we're going to get to that in a second. So to finish up our white one for today, we just have a definition of measures of central tendency. Measures of central tendency is just a way that we can describe the data. The 3 we're focusing on first all have something to do with describing the center of the data set. So like I said before, so that's going to be in your notes. If they describe data, measures of central tendency, or measures of center, because they talk about the center of the data. Now over the next 2 days, we're going to be dealing with these measures of center. And in order to do that, we actually are done with the white sheet. There's a little section on the bottom. We're going to fill that in the next video. So you're done filling that out. But I do want you to get this blue note sheet next. And if you flip it over to this side, we're going to just trim this extra down here so that it will fit in your notebook. So there, I've trimmed that off. Then you're going to fold it in half so that you can see the mean, the median, and the mode on the front. Then you need to open it back up and you see those dotted lines. That's where you need to cut so that you have 3 doors. So when you fold it over, you'll be able to open up each door as we talk about each measure of center. Today we're only going to deal with the mean. That's why I have a little mean face right here. So after you get that all ready, open up the first door and we will fill out the mean notes, do an example, and be all set. So for these measures of center, again, they describe the data that's in the center. I want you to think in an association word. So when I say mean, I want you to think average. The mean is dealing with the average of all of the numbers. And that average ends up being a number that is in the center of the data. So to find the mean, what do? We add all the values, and then we divide by the number of values we just added. So that's the only tricky part that we have to remember. So we're going to have a list of numbers to start with, and they're just in any random number order. So we have a 6, a 4, 6, 1, 4, 5, and a 7, and then a 1. So 6, 1, 4, 5, 7, 1 is our data set. We asked a question, we got maybe, what is your favorite number? And then we got 6 responses, and this is the information. We have to add up all of those numbers first. So step 1, we're going to add. So 6, 1, 4, 5, 7, 1. When we add all this up, it becomes 24. Step 2, we are going to divide for step 2. So we take our total, 24, and we divide by the number of numbers we just added. So that is 6. Easy, does not require any fancy division. And we have our mean of 4. Sometimes you'll get a mean that's a decimal if it's an odd number, which is fine. And we're going to be finding mean and dealing with some statistical questions tomorrow in class. I look forward to seeing you then. Have a great day. Bye.